VeeFam, welcome back to another episode of the VeeFam Sessions. My name is Mr. Messer, but you can call me Rob, and I am so pumped to be joined by none other than the House of Ren, aka Johnny Ren. Johnny Ren, I don't know what you prefer to be called, but thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy to finally sit down and do this with you.
Thanks for having me, Rob, on the VeeFam sessions. Watched you guys from afar. Enjoyed a lot of the videos. Just call me Ren. That's what everyone calls me. Even at work, they just call me Ren. So,
Ren, it is. The term OG gets thrown out around way too much, I think. But if we're gonna actually put people into a bucket of like OGs, you are in there day one. You probably have, I don't know if you know the access to the Discord ranking, but you have to be up there in the top
I'm number
tier.
two.
You are under Corso.
No, it's not Corso. He's like, I don't even know, 20 something.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
So
yeah.
who's won?
One is he's not a VF1 holder, but his name's Updo,
Okay.
and he's
Yep.
been really working a lot these days, so it looks like I might be number one, which is insane, but yeah,
Let's
yeah,
go. Well, looking to
yeah,
celebrate that occasion.
yeah, I
Eh,
guess, yeah.
Um, I wanna get into a lot with you, but before we do that, let's take a step back. Can you give us the 55-second clip notes of who Ren is prior to ever hearing the word VeeFriends or the name Gary Vee for that matter?
Right. So touched on this just a bit earlier with you. From 2012 to 2020, I'm 36, so a bit older. 2012 to 2020, I basically was an English teacher abroad. So it's not like a real teacher like yourself, but I was teaching English in Korea, South Korea, and China. So if people are wondering, I'm Chinese Korean. Now, my courses in Asia did not require me to speak the languages, but I was like, I'll try to connect with my roots. So yeah, I was in Asia for 8 years, and then you might be wondering why 2020. Uh, Basically, in 2020, I was doing very well, I guess you could say, financially, teaching abroad. I had a lot of investments, property in the Philippines. Yeah, I basically traveled a lot around the world, but I was in Asia, so I really like the Philippines. I bought property there. And in 2020, COVID happened. And basically, I was in China at the time, when it happened. And unfortunately, the Chinese government, I'm really not trying to make this political, but the Chinese government closed the country to foreigners. And I happened to be abroad at that time, and I was paying off my mortgages for the different properties I owned. It wasn't expensive, but I was paying them off, and I was working like paycheck to paycheck, you could say, but it was like good money. And unfortunately, I lost it all because 2020, and I couldn't go to China. It was essentially closed for like 2 years. I mean, yeah, give or take 2 years. So in 2020, when it happened, I was like, I just lost everything that I worked, 5 hard years for. So came back to the US. I had a little money, and when I say little, I mean like 3 grand. Like, so I actually put it into ETH. I lived with my dad. Came back to live with my dad. I was 30, and then I put into ETH. And then in 2021, right, I was a fan of Gary, and then he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna do something fun, something revolutionary." This is on IG. I think I saw it. And then he's like, check out the Discord or whatever it was back then. And I was like, okay, I'm hooked. And yeah, I mean, I had 2.5 ETH at that time, I think. Yeah, something like that. And I was able to mint my very rare generous gerbil. So yeah, and I've been a Gary fan since maybe like 2018. So I knew of Gary before COVID even happened. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Gotcha. All right. So there's a lot
Long
there.
story.
Let's
Sorry.
unpack. No, no apologies. Um, the your first of all, your teaching. Is
Yes.
that something that you enjoy doing? That you saw yourself being a natural at? Did any of those? No, you just did it for
Yeah. I
the
guess
huge paycheck that teachers get.
I was well in Asia. It was good. No, but
Well, that's
in
true. That's different.
China, I could tutor kids, and I happened to be in a city, and it wasn't like a big city, but the city I was in, it just happened to be a really like very well off city. So I basically would meet. I could speak Mandarin, so I could like meet kids and like organize a class, and then their parents are all paying me like $60 a kid an hour with like three kids at the same time. And it got to the point where I was working in China 7 days a week. So like let's say Saturday and Sunday, it would be like the grind day, and I would make like $600 in like 4 hours. But it was like throughout the day, I had to be ready, prepare lessons, and all these things. So I did it purely for the grind. I did not,
Hmm.
I didn't enjoy it at all, to be very honest. It was something I could do, but yeah, I did not enjoy it at all.
It's a skill that can provide a lot of liquid, especially for a young guy. I know you said you were old, but uh, I'm gonna respectfully disagree. So you end up having a story where you come to America with next to nothing. Uh, so you when you said you were living in China at the time, was that have you ever lived in the States prior to that or prior to now
Oh yeah,
or
yeah. I was born in the U.S.
got it?
So it was just 2012, and I graduated university, and I was like, I'm tired of the US in many ways. So, um, and I love traveling, so I just decided to move abroad and just look at something new. And then because of that, I've been able to travel around most of Asia. So I love traveling. That's my passion, realistically speaking. Traveling is my passion. So yeah,
Understood. Um, and it sounds like from your story, maybe I misheard, but you put money into ETH prior to hearing the whole Gary VeeFriends thing, or
yeah,
was that because?
yeah,
So what made you do that? Did you have a pulse on crypto and the markets?
yeah. In 2017, I the funny thing was when I was in college. So I was in college in 2007 2011. So I heard about Bitcoin in like 2009 or maybe 10 or something. Didn't put money into it, of course, but I was just like, oh, I've heard of Bitcoin. So in 2017, uh, it was the last bull run before 2021. And then my friend, he became a millionaire off of ETH. And my social circle was like, Ethereum, what's that, right? And so I dabbled a little bit into crypto in 2017. Didn't make money. So 2020 rolled by, and I saw that the ETH was like maybe 400, something like that.
That sounds right.
So I was like, okay, I'll put half of the money I have into ETH. So I had like 2.5 ETH. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Maybe it'll go back to 2000 or whatever it was. And then, of course, around mint time, it was like 4,000, something like that, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this NFT, whatever this is, and yeah. So yeah, it was before Gary's thing that I got into ETH.
Got it. And you said you were following Gary before. Were you? I mean, there's a lot of people find Gary a multitude of ways, but is there something that you personally were attracted to about
Yeah.
the content?
Well, I would be honest. The first time I ever saw Gary was probably like 2015, 2016. And yes, he's my boss now. But I'll be very honest when I say that when I first saw the content, I was like, what an ass. And but I was like, this guy, I don't like this guy. Why does he curse? Why is he so brash? Whatever. And then, like I said, in 2018, like the algorithm just pops up on Instagram or whatever, and it was just something about Gary's life advice, and I was like, I think like that. I honestly do think like him. I just didn't like the cursing and whatever, but I was like, I do think like him when he talks about business, about being kind, about working with employees, boss relationship. I was like, I agree with that. And then I got hooked. So like 2018 is like every time a Gary video came up, came with
You
open
were
mind. Yeah, I was just like
you
liking
were
it,
in.
listening. Yeah, yep.
Fantastic. I mean, at the time, you did very well. You got in early, but at the time, NFTs are a relatively foreign concept to people. So, like, what about that particular moment in time made you say, like, I'm gonna spend, yeah, 2-3 thousand bucks, whatever it was, on this JPEG?
Another funny thing. So I'm really in tune with the news and like reading articles and whatever. So I saw CryptoPunks before VeeFriends, like before Gary even really posted about it. And of course, I was like, this is odd. I was like, people are spending, I think the article was something like, oh, this was bought for $10, but now it's worth 20K or whatever it was. And I was like, that sounds crazy, but I was like desperate, right? I was like, but there's money. I was like, that's interesting. Okay, there's money involved. And then Gary's like content just like started pumping out with like, hey, I'm doing something huge on like May 1st or something, whatever it was, or April. And then he just kept, releasing it. These stories. And I'm just like, okay, this is interesting. Like, whatever it is, let's give it a shot. And then, I think it was in the Discord, he was like, I'm releasing an NFT project. And I was like, NFTs. I was like, CryptoPunks. Oh, wow, this is potential. And yeah, so that was it. So I basically dived in right when he announced it. So yeah.
And then, I don't want to make too many assumptions, but were you hanging out early in the Discord? You know, the Discord was not even a thing, when he's making the announcements. But it turned out to be a hub. It was craziness, giveaways, people meeting each other. Did you drink that Kool-Aid right away?
Yeah, I was in the Discord in the very beginning, but it did get a little crazy, right? It's like 200 messages a second type of thing. So, and then like somebody would write to me, I would try to reply to them. First, I have to find the reply, but I find the reply, and then it's like a 20-minute cooldown in between a message. So you're like, I don't know. And somebody's like 20 minutes later replies to me like, what do you think? And I had to wait 20 minutes to like anyway. Yeah, it was just like a bit wacky. But I really liked it. It was crazy, but people were really, like really hooked. I missed all the giveaways. I was at that time like starting to work for my dad. He has a restaurant, so I was like working for my dad, and then it just got a little bit hectic of like keeping up with the updates. And I do remember fondly when Corso got his um
Go.
yes, Geo a Goo gift code. And I knew who he was, and I'm like Corso, legit, like always helping people out. Um so yeah, for sure I remember Corso in that situation.
Sorry, I misheard you. It sounded like you said goo.
Is that I don't even know what it's pronounced. GOO?
I'm just messing with you. I'm a go guy. This conversation has happened a few times on the show, but I had to double click in that. Um,
GOO?
GOO, yes. So it's I mean it's funny we that just had the 4 year birthday of that. Time is flying, but at somewhere in there, you you had to make the transition from just making a purchase and like, believing in Gary to getting deeper and entrenched in either the community or what you saw in the brand. Because obviously, we just talked at the top of the show. There's hundreds of thousands of people in this Discord, and you're the number two, soon to be one, most active person in it. So at some point, you're getting a deeper belief in this thing. So I'm curious, in the early days, if we're gonna pinpoint an era, like was there a moment or an epiphany you had, or something that you just realized that you said, like, I feel at home here, I believe in this thing, or was it just kind of gradual?
Um, I would say it's a bit of both. So number one, it's like what Gary always says is betting on the jockey, right? Prior to VeeFriends, 2018 to 2021, I was like constantly seeing his content. And of course, during COVID, it was like it's like the only thing you practically see if you're following him. So I was like, bet on the jockey, it's Gary. Like, and then I really start understanding what he did, right? Because when I said like 2016 when I saw him, I thought he was just like a guy that had money, like family money or something. I didn't know, right? Of course, I needed context, but I didn't realize that. But when I realized, like, oh, he's an immigrant. He worked hard, built up his father's business. He left at age 34. Like all these things like resonated with me more, and that's when I was like, okay, Gary's legit, like beyond legit. And then the NFT thing was like betting on your jockey, all those things. I was like, okay, I'm all in. I trust him. He's built a completely his past business. I mean, his current business, but like it's been reputable. This is all before VeeFriends. Yeah, I was completely in. But of course, now the second thing was while being involved with like the community and all those things, I really saw the how do I say like it's still early days now, but I really saw the potential of VeeFriends with VCon, with what he was trying to do with NFTs, like access to events and making it a real life, utility, right? Like an actual thing that I could see and touch and feel. Um, so yeah, I mean, I everything else that came after, like I was just things would not be perfect at times, but I understood the long term vision of it. So yeah.
The long game. You do think like him. Uh, did you ever become a mod, or are you just unofficially a mod?
So I'm now current ever since I got hired at VFriends. I'm now a full time not full time. I'm a actual mod. So every time there's like a scammer that comes in, I insta ban.
Yeah.
I try my best to help people with leading them to the right direction. I did that before as a community member, but like there's a little bit I guess officialness behind it. But yeah, so I'm now an actual mod too in the Discord. So yeah.
And let's stay there for a second. I'm going to bounce around the timeline now instead of going sequentially. But uh, you're one of the few, yeah, great stories of someone that starts out in the community and transitions over to becoming like an actual VFriends team member. So I'd love to go to the origin of that story, because we've had some great ones, Jeremy and a couple others. But I'd love to hear the origin of how Ren joined the team.
So I'll be very honest. It's all in the Discord. The evidence is there. For because people knew I was like climbing the ranks, and people thought like I was doing it for a job. They just thought something of it. And the entire time, and I'm being seriously a genuine giraffe by saying that I wrote it. I told people privately. I was like, no, I don't want to work for VFriends. They're like, why not? And I'm like, it just I don't know what I would do, right? Because I'm just connecting with the community. I'm talking to people. I'm building friendships. I don't know what I would really do in VFriends. I feel that they're doing a lot of high level stuff like NFT tech, uh, what else? Like video editing, all these different things. And I'm like, I don't think, well, even like social, I'm like, I don't think I can do any of that. And even up till the time when I was like going towards that direction, I still felt that. So basically what happened was, and I won't tell the full story because I'd like to keep it a little bit private, but also I want to be humble about it. And I don't want to, how do I say? I don't want people to think like, oh, if Ren talks about it, he's like gloating.
No, I
But
don't.
yeah,
Well, you do what you're most comfortable with, but
yeah,
yeah, I don't think anyone thinks that,
yeah.
especially about you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I hear a lot crosses my
Thanks,
messages in ears about.
thanks. The funny thing was, you probably don't remember this. You were actually part of it. Do you remember this at VCon in LA? Um, you showed me a text and you were like, everybody's looking for you right now. Go to this area.
I remember at the
Okay.
Gary line. Yeah,
Yeah, so what happened was, I won't say who, but someone approached me at VCon LA, and I just finished I did a community event, like an LA tour, and it was like the welcome party fan fest day, and I bumped into somebody on VeeFriends staff, and then they were like, "Hey, are you free tomorrow on Saturday?" And I'm like, "It's VCon, of course I'm free. Like I'm here." And then they're like, "Or Sunday?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay, cool. Like maybe around like 3 p.m. Are you free?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm free. Yeah." Like, "What's up?" And I thought like, "Oh, you want to hang out?" Like, and then he was like, so it's a he. So he was like, Gary wants to meet you. And I was like, "Oh, cool. Okay. Like, oh, I'll go on the line." I was like, I didn't sign up for the line. I didn't have a chance to sign up for the selfie station. And he was like, "Well, no, Gary wants to meet you privately." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Privately?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, all right." Um, so the entire time, I have no idea what's going on. I'm like, "Okay." Um, and to be very honest, Gary follows me on X. He knows of me in the Discord, I guess. We reply to each other. I've never sent him an email. Um, and we've only interacted, like, realistically interacted once at VCon 2. But for this staff member was like, he wants to see you privately. I was like, what the heck? Like, that's just so out, so out there. Um, and yeah, what ended up happening was you were like, hey, so and so is looking for you. Go to the selfie station because it was a Saturday, right? And then I ended up going there, and I just like swoop into the VIP area, I guess, where Gary was standing. And yeah, and then we walked, and Gary and I had a convo. Now it wasn't related to work. He was. I'll just keep it private. He was very thankful, and from there, the conversation evolved. And at that point in August of last year, I was still in a rough place financially, and I was thinking somewhere in my head of like maybe I could try to do something with VeeFriends if it's even there, if it's even you know, um, yeah. So from there, conversations happened, and I talked to Gary several times, and it was unbelievably humbling, I would have to say. And yeah, from there it became into a role at VeeFriends. And
That's awesome, and I remember that moment with the
yes,
person you're talking about. I was
hmm
just with him, and he's like, hey, like he had no. I knew the stakes were a little bit higher just by the way it was presented to me. It wasn't like, yeah, Ren's gonna miss his spot. The selfie line. It was a little bit deeper than that, but
yeah.
very cool. So like you take me the moment. Are you meeting with Andy? Are you meeting with May, Daniel, and like because that's a big moment when it becomes like actually official.
So
And you're
yeah. Yeah, when it came to the work with, I mean, the process of it, it was mostly with Gary, actually.
Oh wow,
And
cool.
yeah, and afterwards, I had many discussions with Andy, and then from there, I started work. Yeah, and that was the date was February 13th, which was a day I won't forget. February 13th, I started. Yeah.
February 13th, 2025. And did you get signed on as a platform strategy associate? Is that like the official job title?
Yeah, that's my that's my title, and honestly, I do a multitude of things now. But yes, that is my title. Um, so I do a lot of. You probably saw the first few months I was doing something with VeeFriends pins.
Yep, a new account, yeah.
Yes, yes, a new account, and to be very honest, I was just trying different ideas on trying to get more awareness about pins, anything and everything related to pins, um, different kinds of pins VeeFriends had, like, you know, just I just had many different ideas, and I basically had a lot of freedom to basically pursue that, and I edited everything myself. I edited everything myself. Everything was, I narrated everything. Everything was done by myself. So it was very intense in a way, not in a bad sense. I mean, like it's very like, okay, I have to make all these videos. I'm not used to this. I got to learn. I have to be adaptable.
Well,
Um,
you also did grow your own account to 30K
which is
followers.
true. Yes,
So you
I've
have
been
some
talking about that.
experience.
Yeah, but I don't think my editing is great. And I don't get paid for that, by the way. So like, I just did it for fun because I love history. But yes, I have some knowledge of editing, which isn't great, but I used that knowledge into the role I had with VFriends Pins. And to be honest, I learned a lot more while working at VFriends, like editing techniques and whatever,
Hmm.
which is really cool. Like I'm learning, I'm enjoying the process of everything, and I'm in a good team, great team of just like building something. And it was cool that I learned, more editing techniques.
Amazing. So, uh, has your, how do I say this? Has your lo- uh, love for V Friends elevated, stayed the same? Has there been like, do you have any like pinch me moments? Like I'm here. Like how has the experience been? I know you're remote, which is a little different than
Yes.
being like maybe in the office, but like it you have to have some moments where it's like, is this really happening?
Yes. I would say in many regards, I mean, now it's been what? It's February 13th till now it's July,
Over half a
five
year, yeah,
months,
yeah.
almost half a year, yeah. So it still feels like a pinch me moment because, and I'm being very honest, it's just that I never imagined that, just connecting with friends, as Gary says, like friends become family, right? So basically having like new friends, new family members that I'm really close to, um, and somehow it develops into a job. So yeah, it's still like a pinch me moment. It doesn't feel real at times because I still view myself as a community member. Now, of course, I have to have the lens of like, okay, I would now work in a company, but I still feel very much like a community member, and I still feel very much like it was the first few days of VFriends when there was that excitement. Obviously, I'm in the team now, so like I see more of what's happening, and I'm very much um, proud of what's being done. I'm very happy what's being done. And I have told some people privately, like, for example, like I said earlier, I worked for my dad at his restaurant. My dad and we don't have much of a relationship. So I only lived with him because of COVID, right? But the perfect explanation is every time I went to my dad's restaurant to work for him, I would have this tightness in my shoulder. Now, I don't know if that's happened with you, at, while teaching or whatever, but I have this tightness in my shoulder. And this tightness means I don't like what I'm doing. I feel stressed. I I don't like what the day has ahead for me. Now I'll be very honest. When it comes to VeeFriends, the last 5 months, wake up every day. I don't have a single bit of tension. And are there some days where like, okay, we need to do something we're not expecting, or we have to do this, where there's additional work to be done? Yeah, of course. Um, but there's zero tension. And
I, lo-
yeah.
I love that for you. That's fantastic. Regardless of where you're working, whether it's VeeFriends or anywhere.
Hmm.
That's a lot of people
Thanks.
don't have that. That's fantastic. Um, so like what is like what do you I don't obviously want to get into um anything that would get you in trouble or put you in a tough spot, but like what are the kinds of things that you're working on now, if it's not like the pins account?
Right. So, right now I'm part of it's more of a larger team now, but it's under the creative team. So I'm now part of the creative team, and there's like a sub team which is marketing. I'm basically managing different accounts, primarily managing different accounts. Like if there needs to be some kind of announcement, there needs to be posts made, I'm basically there. So, I mean, I could say this, but I'm not doing it the entire time, but I'm now doing X. That's me
Nice.
doing the posts. And
That's a cool little honor.
yeah, it was very surprising when I got that little role, I guess. Quite a big role. But yeah, it was very again very humbling. Like I'm just kind of relatively new, and there was a lot of trust built there. And so I'm doing mostly X related posts. It's not always me. It's a team effort, so we're all there helping each other out, but I do a lot of X. I do a little bit of VF Apparel,
Okay.
the Instagram account. So basically, yeah, how we're doing it in marketing is that we have different campaigns and different upcoming announcements. So when there is an announcement of some sort, we look at it and then we basically have it pushed out into socials. And that's primarily what I'm doing. I have different other tasks that I do, um, but that's the main thing, marketing. Yeah.
That's awesome. X and IG are very different the than the Discord, and you're so well versed in that. I want to bring up an older theme, I guess. I think it's different now, but there was an era there, and correct me if you think this is inaccurate, where the public opinion was that the Discord sentiment was more or less like more negative, um, in a lot of ways. And you obviously with your numbers and your credentials and receipts, like you saw a lot of that. So I guess the question is A, like is it has it changed, and B, what do you think was the precipice for it changing over these last?
So your yes, your breakdown is not incorrect. So I would say that 2022 to 2023, it was definitely a bit more rough in the Discord. Um, it's kind of this, and I'm really not trying to like mention politics, but it's the same term. It's the term echo chamber, which is you're in one area and that's all you listen to, and you think that is what it is, right? So yes, there were people that, and I'm not criticizing them. I'm just saying that they're in the Discord and that's the primary app they use. That's the primary way of why they got into VeeFriends, right? So they're always in the Discord, and you get some people who are not happy, and that's okay, and that's understandable. So when they're not happy, they may voice their opinions, and then other people will maybe have that kind of thinking or feeling, and then they latch on, and then they just discuss. Now, was it like negative the entire time? No, of course not. Like there are a lot of OGs in there that are still there to this day, and we still talk, we still mingle, and it's fun. It's like the VFam chat on X. it's a huge chat of 100 plus people, and you get people who like basically stay there, and it coexists. There's
Mhm.
always going to be good and bad, like I mean like unhappy, happy people, and that's okay. And like when you asked when did it change, I would say it started changing last year in the Discord, I mean. Do you know a guy named Bren? So Bren is very fun, like Bren Ren. Anyway, but Bren's a very, very cool guy. He's also in California. Haven't met him yet. Well, I want to soon. But Bren's really cool, and he basically came out of nowhere. And he's a big crypto guy, and he just started sweeping VF1s. And I'm not even joking. Like the sentiment started changing around that time. And now, of course, like crypto was starting to move up again, so that's when also it coincided. But he was like sweeping, like VF1s, VF2s, and he was like giving away VF2s left and right to people in the Discord. And it was like an
I
honestly a
remember that.
pretty,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like honestly a pretty cool feeling. And then yeah, and then it was just like people started getting a little bit more positive, and then like um because they started seeing the floor rise, and then around the same time, people started realizing like, okay, the maybe crypto's picking back up, so people started buying again. Like there's like so many random people. Like I know Gary did it too, but there was people like there's a guy named like Hemdog. I saw him on X, and he like sweeped 10 plus VF1s, and it's just like there was the sentiment of this positive, yeah.
Yeah, there was a few of those moments in the last 6 to 12 months. More so VF2. But I remember that series one sweep, and then Gary had one too. But yeah, I mean, I'm oversimplifying it big time. What I'm about to say, but at the end of the day, like the only people that had this sentiment are the Web3 NFT people who primarily, you know, they bought high and sold low, or watch the value of the floor go down. Like if we're going super basic, if you boil it, the concerns and the animosity down, like that's a huge chunk. Just based on the conversations I've had over the years. Um, you don't see anyone that got a whole bunch of VF2 boxes or Topps Chrome complaining. There's not a terrible, there's not a toxic physical collectible VeeFriend sentiment anywhere. Um, well, I shouldn't say that. That's really overgeneralizing, but I think Discord is primarily the a lot of the people that are Web3 native.
Yeah, I would say that Discord, yes, it is definitely more Web3, but I would also say that a lot of the people that I would occasionally just talk to and they come in, a lot of them were like Gary, like hardcore Gary fans. So they basically downloaded Discord purely for Gary. And
From the texts.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that they didn't download Twitter or use Twitter because
Mm,
Twitter at times can be a little bit chaotic, right? With a
yes.
lot of the random postings.
Very
It's sometimes
political. Yeah,
very political. It's also kind of glitchy at times, but so there's like a multitude of
that
reasons
makes
why people
sense.
maybe don't use Twitter. But yeah, so I would say that it's mostly Web3, but it does have a mixed bag, and people are. I personally wouldn't say it's the only buying and high, because like for example, I minted, and I nearly sold my VF1 for like 85K or whatever crazy price it was. But I didn't because I had greed. I listed it for 110 or something, something crazy, and I was like 85. I don't need that. That's not enough. I need
Yeah,
over
but now you have a
110.
job. You have lifelong security.
It's a little better now, yeah. But I think there are also some people who are like who did mint and they were like, oh, it went to 85K. Now we're at 5K and it's been going up, right? So 5K, and they're thinking like, when is it ever going to go back to 85K. I still spent, 5 to 6K in 2021. So there's a lot of this different kind of sentiments, and in the end, did I have a lot of those? I wouldn't even say debates. Like, did I have those discussions with people where they were disappointed or they were FUD, right? Yeah, I did, but I don't view them in a negative light. I always talk to them with respect. I always did my best to understand where they come from. But then I also always added the perspective of, could you see where I'm coming from though? Where I'm in the same boat as you. I bought in low, didn't sell high, and it went back down low. But can you understand where my thinking is? So and so, right? And I would say that sometimes that approach did work. And that's kind of what Gary preaches, right? Just be kind and be respectful, be understanding of other people's opinions and thoughts. And a lot of times, let's be honest, when they're fudding, it's because they're going through something,
Yep, of
right?
course.
They're going through something dark. They're going through some financial troubles, maybe some relationship, personal, family. And that is where I need to have that perspective of, oh, they're going through something. Um, and I'll just kind of go on a tangent with what I just said. The craziest thing is, I used to be kind of negative. I was very positive at times, very optimistic, but I would still be negative at times towards people. And with VeeFriends, I literally did a 180. Like I'm like basically like supremely positive now towards people. Um, so there was somebody in the Discord. I always mention this. There was a guy named Got Wood. Maybe you don't know. Uh,
I remember that name.
he's a very nice guy. He's still around. Not in the Discord as much these days. We often ask about where he is. But Wood, he came into the Discord maybe like 2 years ago, and the first thing he said was, "Can I curse?"
Yes.
Okay. The first thing he said was like, "What a bunch of fucking losers," or something like that. And it was like 1 a.m. Okay. And immediately, of course, 2020 Ren would be like, "Hey, fuck you. Like, why don't you just fuck off?" Right? I was like, the first thing I said was, "Hey, I'm sorry you're going through a tough time, Wood, but we're just here hanging out," or something like that. And I was like, "You could come hang out with us. Like, we're just talking." For like the first few weeks, he was like, "Well, screw you guys, you losers, blah, blah, blah." But he kept coming back. And he kept coming back and kept making fun of us. And we kept, like, showed a little kindness to him. Like, "Hey, Wood, like, all right, dude, like, we're just hanging out. Like, we're not bothering you. We're just fans of VeeFriends, fans of Gary." And he would be like, "Oh, like, you losers, like, you guys know each other's." And I'm like, "Yeah, this guy is my good friend. And I've met him. He's an awesome guy." Like, this kind of stuff happened. And then, of course, he did a 180, and he became a kind person, and he's still kind to this day, whenever he comes in. And it's that simple, right? It's that simplistic. Like, you're being kind to them because they're going through something wrong, something bad in their head, and you just have to, peel those layers of like getting to them and being honest to them and just being kind to them, and then they change, you know.
A
So yeah.
hundred percent. And I get it. And you probably know from teaching. Like sometimes it's tough to not respond like that when that's not where you want to go to first. But it's the right thing to do, and that's what you do. It was actually a breath of fresh air a few weeks ago, maybe months at this point, when Gary was on a tea with Gary V, and he was like, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna lead with kindness. Like, fuck you. Like, if you're gonna come in here, do you remember that? Did you hear
I've
that?
seen the clip.
Yeah. Like, and it was a great rant. Like, it was a great tea with Gary V moment because like it's okay because we're all human and we feel that way. It's like, all right, it's about meeting in the middle, right? It's about balance.
Yeah, no
25 is the
one's
year of
perfect.
balance, right? Yeah. So that was refreshing to hear because I know someone that one of the big reasons that I stayed away from the VeeFriends Discord is because I was working in Web3 and I was like living in Discord and in other projects. So like I didn't want to live in that world. because it's exhausting to have to deal like customer service, so to speak,
Mm,
with people that are going to be like that all the time, right? All
yes.
time zones, 20, all day. So, hats off to you. You know, you have plenty of receipts that probably didn't hurt your resume and job, pseudo job application. But yeah, and you're a better person for it. Uh, quickly, we mentioned VCon before. As someone, you went to all three. Uh, is there a particular special VCon moment in one, two, or three that stands out for you as you think back to that VCon era, other than talking to Gary at in LA?
Right. I would say that, well, VCon 2 would also be a Gary moment, but I'll try to delve away from that a bit. But I'll say the Gary one first because it's just funny and true. So at VCon 2, there was a bunch of people like standing in the back behind the main stage. There's like crowding, and I'm like, oh, Gary must be there talking to people. Let me just go over there. So I go over there, and people are like crowding Gary in the back, and Gary's just like talking to someone in the zone, and he's like talking to them, talking, 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 and then as he's talking, his eyes are like scanning like the audience that's around him, and he actually literally looks, and I'm in the very back. He looks in my direction, and he like winks. I've said this before, so he winks, and I swear to God, everybody that was in front of me, because I'm in the very back, literally all turns around and stares at me. But of course, I'm like, well, Gary's not winking at me. So I turn around and there's like, it's all empty. And I'm like, okay. And then I turn around and I turn back and everyone turns around. So I think everyone had this thought of like, was he winking at this big Asian guy? Like, like whatever. And I'm just standing there. I'm like, okay. And I haven't really talked to Gary. Okay, really, just in the Discord, like, hey, hello. And I was like kind of flustered. I'm like, okay, this can't be real. So I like go up the stage and I just like go up the stadium and I bumped into these three people that I talked to for like 30 minutes. And we're just talking about VeeFriends, Gary, about life, whatever. And then as we're talking for these 30 minutes, a big crowd walks by and I'm like, oh shoot, that must be Gary. And Gary like literally walks all the way over with all these people towards me and he gives me a pound. Like what's up? Didn't say anything, just pounded. And then he walks off. Those three people are like, well, Gary knows you. And I'm like, I guess he does. And so that is a memorable moment for me, of course. And I had no idea what was the context, like how he knew me, really. That was very memorable. And I was saying the next one is why is another very memorable moment was at VCon 3, was that before VCon even started, I met up with some people that came to LA early. I actually forgot his name, but he's the brother of another holder. And he was like, oh, this is our first time in LA. And I'm like, great, we're at a coffee shop, not near VCon. And we're at a coffee shop and we're just hanging out, chatting, and I'm talking about VeeFriends. And then a few days later, he comes to the tour with me. So I did a tour in LA that was around all of LA. Went to like Korean barbecue for lunch, and then like went to the beach. And they left by the beach time, and then we went around other parts of LA. But at the end of VCon 3, everyone's leaving the that auditorium. So this guy, I believe his name was like Ethan. Kind of feel bad. His brother's name is Josh, but he comes up to me out of it's like dark, right? Everyone's like leaving VCon. It's dark, and he like grabs me and he's like, Ren, I just want to say thank you so much for VCon. And I'm like, oh, why? He's like, you were the first person I met outside of my brother being a holder. He's like, you're the first VeeFriend person I met. And he said it was such a great, memorable experience. And he's like 20 years old. And I said to him, I was like, you're welcome. And I said, I'm only doing this LA tour thing, getting to see you at the coffee shop. I said, I only did all this because somebody did that for me at VCon 1.
Mm.
Somebody hosted something, a little event, a little get together. Your event, I didn't go to your event, but your event, people are seeing it for the first time, and that's VeeFriends to them. So you doing that event, I doing my event, my kindness or whatever, it made an impression on him, and he wanted to thank me. And that's kind of the point, right? Like of not the friend part, but just being a VeeFriend person, which is trying to give that little bit of positivity to someone. And yeah, and that person, you know, felt good enough to tell me that. So that, of course, for me, that's like a very memorable moment because I had memorable moments in VCon 1 where we're all fresh newbies and like that
Yep.
feeling of like, oh, do I talk to you? Do I, so yeah, I would say those are some very memorable moments for me.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, just a few weeks ago, we were talking about like people how they're like trying to spread VeeFriends, spread the brand. Obviously, no one asked anybody to do that. If just in the community, you just do it because you love the brand and want to do it. But some people like I don't know if burnt out is the right word, but people go about it doing it in a way that's not totally natural for them, right? Like going out to a public place and handing out cards to people might not be, it sounds like a good idea, but it might not be how like they naturally want to share the brand. And like I had the conversation, like you just need to go out and like be yourself and like honor the traits, and like it will naturally happen, and people will naturally be attracted to you as a person. And then yeah, then you're like I'm a part of this thing, right? Versus like superficially almost like trying to do that as like a pseudo like VeeFriends team member. So that's where my head went when you were saying that, because you were just being yourself.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is like um me doing the tour. So apparently Gary wanted to see me. Like this discussion happened prior to me doing the tour. So it wasn't like Gary's like, now I might be wrong. Okay, sorry, Gary, but like they might be. It was like it wasn't like Gary was like, okay, I want to see Ren because of the tour. I wasn't doing it for like, hey Gary, look at me, like I love VeeFriends so much. Like here's the tour. It was like I got the great, you know, welcoming from people in VCon 1 and VCon 2, and it's my hometown. So like I want to welcome people to VCon 3, right? Um,
Yeah, and
so
I remember you promoting that very well.
yeah, yeah, it was actually like I remember at the end of the night it was like four people because we were like a lot of people went to your event actually, Rob, which is great. No, it's all good. But I just remember like people are like we gotta go to Rob's. I'm like, oh, okay, go to Rob's. That's great. Um, but yeah, it's about wanting to do it because you want to do it, right? It's kind
Yeah.
of like that NFT. When you live for other people's validation, you're not really living, right? I might be saying it incorrectly, but when you live for somebody else's validation, i.e. Gary's, VeeFriends team, um, your parents, I don't know, whatever, like your friends, your social peers, when you're doing it for them to see you and try to validate you, then you're just, there is that battle within you, and you have to just really want to do it, right? Like to be for me right now, very upfront. I'm not as in tune with the VFam chat, as you can tell. I'm not always in there. I'm in there, but I'm not like getting to connect with everybody. Um, Now, of course, as a team member now, it's like okay, I try to throw some announcements in, like I try to get in there. Um, but it's not because I don't care. As prior when I was a community member, it's because I was focused on more Discord and connecting people in there. That's the point, really. Wanting to connect, not for somebody else to see me and validate what I'm doing, right?
Hmm.
Um, like I said, there's just so many lessons in these NFTs.
Yeah, I you're telling me, man. And I've been I would put myself in the group that of someone that pays attention very closely for a long time, and I'm still getting lessons learned all of the time from the characters, from watching back conversations from like 2 years ago of this show. It's a living thing, and the lessons are real. But I love that. And I'm happy you're bringing up this point because, from the get, and I was in this group early on as well. Like some people are trying all of their moves or on the board are end with them working for VeeFriends, and sometimes that's just not the way to play it. So kind of went ahead and answered the question a few minutes before I even asked it. If someone that wants to ultimately work for the brand that they love and help in an official capacity, you can amend this answer, but it sounds like just be yourself.
Yeah.
And then,
Um, yeah. I'm sure Gary once said something about like authentic anaconda, right? It's like a really important trait because just be authentic, be genuine, like be you,
it's the
right?
easiest thing to do.
It's the easiest thing. And I get it. Some people are really young and they're like impressionable. They're trying to, and Gary, I said it before, you like to be like me, but you're not going to be like me. Like, it's a
Yeah.
different beast, right? Like, socially, whatever. He's a completely different beast. But it's like, you're never going to be like him, right? So don't try to act like him. Don't try
No.
to get his validation or even the team's validation or even, like I said, repeating it again. But, like, it's just be you, you know, and don't care about the judgment of others because being you is what makes you happy, right? Like, what makes me happy is traveling, anime, history, and food. Obviously, food. Uh, those four things, and that's what I am. Like, if somebody's like, "Oh, are you like interested in whatever like this sport?" I'm like, "Not really." I'm not. I love basketball, but it's like, are you into playing sports? I'm like, "No, not really." And I'm just authentic me, and I know what I like, and I lean into it. Like that's literally it, right? Um, you did make a good point about trying to do something to want to work for VeeFriends. Like you said, also just be you, because in the end, working for VeeFriends it's still a company at the end of the day, right? And it probably operates a bit differently than what, let's say, a community person is expecting. Do you get what I mean? Like it's still a company. Like there's different there's organization, there's different you have managers, you have different goals, you have different things you have to achieve,
Sure.
and as a team we are very much working towards them and definitely hitting our goals. But I just think that sometimes people are, I wouldn't say misjudging, but like yeah, they just think this is the best way to say it. They think that if they work for VFriends or work for this company or meet this social media person, they think their life is complete. And that
Mm.
is not the case, right?
That's a great way to put it bluntly.
Yeah, it is not the case. I won't say who it is, but years ago, a person would come into the Discord every day and ping Gary. And he would be like, "Hey, Gary, this is day whatever, 85, of me trying to meet so and so for an interview." Or ripping a card pack with him, this other social media person. And I just didn't get it. And he would actually reply to us in a way where he would get upset that Gary doesn't reply to him. And it's just like, dude, there is much more to life than you meeting this so and so social media person. I don't know how that's going to complete your life, your work. Yeah. So I'm not saying in a judgmental way. I'm just saying in a way of like try to think a little bit bigger, like more out
Sure.
there, right? So yeah,
100%. I'm with you. I'm with you. Uh, but I appreciate you putting it bluntly because sometimes people need to hear different ways. Um, so before we get into our last couple bits here, uh, out of curiosity, the Did You Know History 89 account, when give me the quick bullet points. Why did you start it? When did you start it? How long has it been going on?
So I think it's on my personal Instagram. I believe the date is August 23rd of 2023 is when I
Okay.
started, and I've still been posting every day.
I know.
Even
I
though I'm
saw.
even though I'm working on VeeFriends team, I'm still posting every single day. And very honestly, my account's not growing. And there are many reasons for that. It's exactly what Gary says. Like I'm not putting in the effort. I'm not because obviously I'm working. Like it's so different now. Um, so there's a lot of quality that I'm not putting out, and it's that's on me. But I still want to be consistent, right? And why did I post every day? And it's literally just Gary's advice, which is do what you really, really love, which is I love history. Like I really love history. So I decided to follow his advice. Do something you love and just post every day. Now I get it. When it comes to like podcasting, it's a bit different, right? But I just mean like when it comes to like short form content, just do it every day. Like
Yeah.
just post it. Like fuck the fear. Who cares about the judgment? Like I mean, Rob, I get the funniest comments from people when I was like popping off on Instagram. People would say the rudest shit to me, and I just think it's hilarious. I don't get offended by it, but like it's just hilarious to me. And that's what a lot of people fear, that judgment. For me, I think it's hilarious. It's fun. So, but yeah, just post. I just keep posting, um, and if you love it, you might see growth, which is what happened to me, right? Um, I will say this: in that convo I had with Gary in LA, he said he saw my content, and I was just like, "You've seen it?" And he's like, "Yep." I won't say what else he said, but he said, "Yeah, he's seen it," and I was just like, "What the hell?" Okay, and but that's the most. It's how it's so crazy when people literally Gary just gives so much free advice out there, and people just don't act upon it.
Yeah.
He's like, just post every day. 100 views is 100 views. That's 100 individual people. Just post. Just post. Like, who cares? Just post. And yeah, I will say I've been posting now every day on Facebook because Facebook for like months just had like 0 views. So I didn't post. But now Facebook is allowing monetization for some weird reason, and I was allowed to monetize. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
I actually have 37,000 followers there now. Like,
30.
yeah,
That's a lot of people. That's a stadium full,
yeah,
Ren.
yeah, it's insane. And I've gotten paid, which is also insane. Not a lot, but it's just insane. And yeah. So I like Gary would say it, like you're doing something right, right? If
Exactly.
something is happening from it. Um,
And if he's noticing you and reaching out, that's another good signal.
humbling, honestly. It's humbling.
Amazing. I have one more question. I'm gonna get to the last segment, but before I do that, I want to pause before I forget, because my brain does that sometimes. I want to thank you for taking the time. You're a busy guy to come on this show. It's very important to me to get a very strong set of people that live through the early days and just kind of have lived lived the traits, been great examples of what this thing is all about, and you check so many of those boxes. So I'm happy to check you off the list, uh,
Thank you, Rob.
at least for one episode for now. So I appreciate you coming on. Um, and then I want to ask. I always like to ask, what VeeFriends character do you, Ren, need to spend more time with right now?
Hmm. Which character do I need to spend more time? It would probably be, I would say, it's hard. Possibly, it's really hard to say. Are you saying like I need to improve with the
But
characteristic?
but essentially, yep. So by osmosis, you want to get more of this said trait.
Hmm. Honestly, my mint is the generous gerbil, And I love the idea of being generous. And in an ironic way, I'm not generous. Not because I don't care about people. It's that I'm not able to be generous.
Mm.
So I actually would say generous because I'm not able to be generous. And I do think of generosity in many ways financially, like what Gary said about what his hope was for the Generous Gerbil, which is kind of like a charity, showing the charity QR code and that people can donate with the Generous Gerbil there. It's actually me being generous. The only time I've been able to be generous is being generous with my advice, and that's about it. But actually, there's a lot of people in the community that you see and hear about, and they're struggling. To be honest, I was struggling for years. So it's like, people struggle. So at times, like, and they talk to me privately about stuff. So a part of me wants to be generous and try to help them out, but I'm not able to. And sometimes it doesn't like eat at me or anything like that. It's just that I'm not able to. So I would say generous. I would like to be more generous in other ways too. I just haven't found maybe the opportunity for it. But I will say, whenever somebody reaches out to me with something, like I will do my best to like talk about it. That's all I can do right now,
Well,
financially. I
that's
mean,
being generous, right?
that's my point. So that's the only thing I'm able to be generous at. But there's more to it.
Your
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Oh, I have to push back a little, but I appreciate the answer and the thoughtfulness. Amazing. If you have a couple more minutes for one last segment, I'd like to end with a little micro macro spitfire. So I'm going to shoot a whole bunch of questions at you rapid fire, and you could answer one question, excuse me, one word, yes, no, simple in the macro, or you can take out your microscope and explain why. Totally up to you.
Okay,
All right. So here we go.
okay.
Micro macro spitfire with the House of Ren community member first, VeeFriends team member second. All right. You hear that, Andy? Community member first. All right, here we go. Favorite teacher you had growing up and one reason why.
Mr. Ludlam in high school, junior year, he was history teacher, so I love history. Made me love history a lot more.
What was your favorite IP as a kid?
Sony, Sony PlayStation.
Got
So
it. Bougie hotel or hiking, camping?
Sushi Hotel. Have you seen me? Like, look at me.
Favorite movie?
Um, The Seven Samurai. Have you ever heard of it? It's a
Yes, of
Japanese
course.
movie by Kurosawa.
Uh, is there a secret talent that you have that we don't know about?
I know a lot of random things, like facts, different things about culture, society,
Give us
history.
a give us a random fact.
Oh gosh, on the spot. Random fact. That's a history one. Um, the Romans are closer to us than the Romans were close to the start of the pyramids.
Oh,
Do you
wow.
understand what that means? That's pretty
Yes,
crazy, huh? Yeah. Like so they're more they we know more about them than they knew more about the yeah, anyway. Yeah.
that's wild. What's your favorite piece of physical VeeFriends memorabilia?
Favorite. It would probably be honestly Topps Chrome. Just like the newest product I mean manga stickers, but like Topps Chrome, honestly. Um Not only for the brand, but it's just like they're really cool. Like the quality of it is really nice. I've never touched a VF1 card, so I don't know. But like the quality of the Topps Chrome cards are really nice. The shine, like yes, when you were online, I didn't realize how nice it was in person. So yeah, Topps Chrome.
Yeah, they're super nice. Wine, beer, or coffee?
Coffee.
If it was illegal to have more than one social media platform, which one would you keep?
The one I like the most would be Instagram.
Paper Hands Pony or the Koala 2025?
The most recent, I guess, coming, what Jeremy said, Koala,
Gratitude Gorilla or Patient Panda?
Patient Panda, Patience.
What city? And I know we were told in your home city of LA that 2024 was not the last VCon. What is a city that you would like to see the next VCon in, whenever that may be?
Oh, it was somewhere be in Asia. It would be Tokyo. I love
Tokyo
Japan.
V.
Japan's my favorite place. Yeah,
Would you rather have a 2 hour group dinner with Gary, you and let's say 9 other people, or a 15-minute one-on-one?
one on one with Gary.
And lastly, I know you've had some good experiences, but I always like to end with, if you could ask Gary one question he had to answer honestly, what would you ask him?
This is something I wanted to ask him when we talked, but I didn't have the chance to because I've thought about this before. So if I have some friends who are, how do I say, they have something that is obviously a glaring issue. When I say issue, I mean there's obviously something off. Like they're not doing something right, they're not doing something I wouldn't say appropriate, but they're just not doing something right, and maybe they're taking someone like me for granted. Um, how would he approach it? And I'm wondering if I don't know if he has had that situation. He must have. Um, and I say this because something like that happened to me at VCon, not in a bad way. It wasn't like it changed my, my thinking about this friend. Not at all. It's just something that like I wasn't expecting, and it happened, and I became the bigger person, which is ultimately the better thing, but I became the bigger person and I helped that person. But I felt like they possibly were not taking my time, my thoughts into account. So I want to see what he would say. So yeah,
I love it. Mr. Ren, I can't thank you enough for coming on. Really appreciate you, bud.
thank you, Rob.
Really happy for you that you landed this role that you really seem to be enjoying.
Yeah, it's humbling, it's crazy, it's yeah, I love what I'm doing, and it's crazy to say that, but it's true, and yeah, and I'm able to connect with community members still, which is awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah,
We will talk soon. Thank you so much.
thank you, Rob.